Tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, every year. Nature strikes again. But there are few states that almost never make the headlines, because nothing ever happens there. These 10 safest states are ranked by the least number of natural disasters during the most recent 2 decades, and number 1 might actually surprise you. Connecticut is a practical conclusion to this top 10 ranking because it summarizes the experience of many East Coast communities. Tropical storms and hurricanes are unforgiving, even if the rate of those disasters is spread out over the years and remains less than the national average, while the West tends to be more perilous thanks to fault lines, mountains, deserts, and tornadoes. Wyoming manages to stay in the top 10 safest states. Interestingly, as opposed to flooding and storms, Wyoming is inundated with fire risks. The reason flooding happens significantly less in Wyoming is because the climate is semi-arid, and by definition, a dry and windy environment has less water to distribute. Therefore, fire is more common. Pennsylvania benefits from mountains and valleys that work to control flooding, and they also shield Pennsylvania's inland regions from direct hits by hurricane winds. Despite that advantage, severe storms and flooding are abundantly frequent disasters that occur at least once a year. Ohio lies to the east of Indiana, and thus it also benefits from the protection of the Great Lakes, distance from Tornado Alley, seismic activity, and Atlantic hazards. However, like Indiana, it has also received 21 disaster declarations since 2004. Fierce winter weather, tornado and flooding events, and landslides make up the bulk of these disasters. For the first time in 11 years, a tornado caused fatalities in Indiana after EF3 winds struck in 2023. As jarring as that event was, Indiana is not typically prone to disaster. Extreme natural features are not commonplace, and the mountains, large rivers, and fault lines to the southwest have mild impacts. Meanwhile, floods and storms, including the snowy variety, do make an appearance roughly every other year, but do not leave irreparable wakes of destruction. Although it is another state exposed to the whimsy of Atlantic storms and northern snowfall, Rhode Island is still a remarkably stable slice of land. For instance, the only major fire that occurred in the last 20 years was due to a campsite in 2023, which is arguably more artificial than it is natural. Furthermore, the fire team's response was strong and effective enough that no injuries or fatalities were reported. Wisconsin is known for its rolling hills and gentle lakefronts, and these environments are able to exist because of a network of safeguards working in tandem. A healthy climate, neither too dry nor too stormy, thanks to the Great Lakes, guarantees a spread of grasslands and forests despite the plains and deserts of states farther to the south. Rooted soils in a humid environment are naturally more resilient to flash floods, wildfires, and mudslides. In general, the Mid-Atlantic region is spared the extremes that North America is at the mercy of elsewhere. Maryland, like Michigan, is relatively far away from fault lines that could bring about devastating tremors and volcanic eruptions, which are only significant in Hawaii, Alaska, and a few states out west. Michigan and other Great Lakes states are tremendously safe for several reasons. This safety is a reality in spite of the fact that this ranking solely considers the total amount of disasters. Large states like Michigan seem as though they ought to rank worse by virtue of having more land for disasters to occur in, yet this is not always the case. The Great Lakes themselves offer a form of protection by regulating the surrounding air temperature, which prevents the formation of severe storms. Seismic issues like earthquakes are also not a significant threat, as the state lies far from any violently active fault lines. Michigan also has no ocean coastline, which by default means that hurricanes and cyclones are weakened by the time they arrive that far inland. Delaware has managed to claim the title of the state safest from natural disasters. That record is upheld by the fact that since 2004, only 13 emergency declarations have occurred in the state, compared to the national average of just over 50. Flash flooding, tornadoes, thunderstorms, and hail do occur rarely, with one tornado warning being issued in the wake of Hurricane Jeanne in 2004. The majority of other incidents occurred several years apart. as a result of northward-bound hurricanes and tropical storms. Ultimately, there are two factors that make Delaware one of the safest states in the US from natural disasters: the infrequency and mildness of possible events, and the fact that Delaware ranks highly in emergency health preparedness, according to a 2009 study by the University of Delaware. Today we learned about the 10 safest states from natural disasters in the United States. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel Crazy America.